Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Crizzy Books. I'm Crizzy, or Criz, but only my homeboys call me Criz. And if you'd like to start calling me Criz, be a homeboy. Subscribe to my channel. That's the only way that you can do it. So just fucking subscribe already. What? Come on. And today I'm going to be doing a review for Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. That can't be his last name, can it? I'm a big, longtime fan of Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. I think I might like that one even more. And I've been meaning to read this book for so long, and I don't know why I haven't, but, whatever. Sometimes, God has a plan for all of us. So, I read it when I read it. By the time I'd read this, I'd only read two other Philip K. Dick books. I've read Ubik and A Scanner Darkly. I like both of those very, very much. Ubik is like one of my favorite books, like of all time now. Not sure that either of those were a really good entry point for PKD, but hey, God has a plan for all of us. After having read this one, I am now totally in love. I think he's fantastic. I thought this book was really, really good. The other two PKD books that I have read have been very kind of out there and a little surreal and trippy and heady and just, they're very different. And I was actually surprised by how similar this one felt and how different this one felt. This is far more contained within its own narrative. It doesn't get quite as trippy, but it still has those moments. It's all still there. I thought that the world that he creates is awesome. I thought that the ideas were super unique. I really enjoyed this a lot. So without further ado, let's get into what did I like and what did I not like about this. What I liked so much. Just to start off, at the very beginning, we're introduced to this piece of technology called a mood organ. This mood organ is able to control your emotions. You get to set it. It has different settings on it depending on what kind of mood you'd like to be in. I love the idea of a piece of technology like this. I want one. I would turn it to happy and dumb, and then I don't have to think anymore. Just happy, dumb. Right away, the first chapter, I was just completely hooked. This is when I was like, I love Philip K. Dick. I love this guy. I'm going to absolutely read whatever I can of his moving forward. The first chapter of this, Rick Deckard, our main character, is talking to one of his neighbors on his roof about the animals that they have. And his neighbor has a real horse. Rick has a fake sheep, which is kind of where the name comes from, an electric sheep. We are living in some kind of a future where a World War III has broken out, World War Terminus, I believe. The world is pretty post-apocalyptic. Everybody's living in this very condensed city. And most animals are extinct. Maybe all, we're not really sure, but most animals are extinct, and owning a real animal is like a very high social bar. Everybody wants to own a real animal. It's just kind of a way to show that you have money, you're of a higher class. Rick has an electric sheep, which looks like the real thing. Most people don't know that, but the whole book, he's really determined to make a bunch of money so that he can actually buy a real animal. Rick Deckard is a bounty hunter who tracks down androids and retires them, kills them. That's how he gets paid. I just loved all of this. I thought that all the conversations around the animals and owning animals and just the world that they live in and everything, it's just so fascinating to me. I was so drawn in by it. And the book does this throughout. Like I love everything. It was awesome. I know that like within Philip K. Dick's writing occupation, what do I call it? Writing timeline, that he kind of went a little nuts, and that's where a lot of the more trippier things came from in his bibliography. And this one came a bit before that, but I was pretty surprised by how like trippy and existential this is. There's a character in this called Mercer, and everybody treats him kind of like this deity or this god. You can grab onto this empathy box that puts you into Mercer's world, where he's walking up a hill with rocks being flung down at him, and he's just doing this endlessly, and everybody can go, and it's just a way for everybody to experience empathy for one another, try and make the world a better place. Really out there and interesting, and so surreal. He's so good at writing stuff like this. I think I've read enough to kind of like understand how good he is at it. And this is no exception. Getting back into more of like the tech and things like that of this story, the Voight Comp test, which I am familiar with. Obviously, I love the movies. I know about it, but it's one of those things when you're reading about it on the page and being like, this is where it came from. Like, he came up with this idea, and it's, where the heck does this guy come up with this stuff, you know? It really is just so out there and so original. I can't speak highly enough of the ideas presented in this book. One of my favorite scenes in the whole book, probably my favorite scene in the whole book, Deckard gets taken into custody, kind of, and taken to a police station. This is a fake police station that is run by the escaped androids that he's trying to track down. He doesn't know that. But the whole thing just has him questioning himself, and then it has us questioning him and this reality. Is Deckard an android? Does he know? Does anybody know? Is anything real in this? Is this all just made up? Is there any reality happening within any of this book that is true? Because we learn that androids can have false memories implanted in their minds. They can think that they've lived an entire life without ever having had done that. And this was one of those moments where it's really like having you really doubt everything. And I loved it. I always wondered how much of the movie versus the book, like where the similarities were, because I had heard that the movie was kind of a drastic change from the book, and in a way that is absolutely true. But I was pretty surprised by how many similarities there really were, and so that was really fun. Just as I'm reading, picking up on those similarities throughout, and be like, that's where that comes from, or that's what that is, or this character, or whatever. But I really do love that they are kind of their own separate things. Like, the movie and the book live in their own lane, and it's not like reading this was somehow affecting my opinion of the movies in any way. I love them all. I think they're all great, and I think they all live in their own lanes, and I think that's really cool. Towards the end of this, the escaped androids are living in this kind of rundown, abandoned apartment complex, and one of them, because androids lack empathy, they don't feel anything towards any living creatures. They find a spider, and they start to cut off each one of its limbs to see just kind of how it behaves if you cut off the limb of a spider. This was rough to read. I don't like violence towards animals anyway. A living animal in this world is a very rare thing and a very valuable thing, and not just from monetarily, but just like socially and just within, like, we don't want to be hurting animals if we don't have to. And for them to just be doing this to this spider, just kind of torturing it, I did not like it. Rachel as a character in this is really great. Big standout, super manipulative, just this next step in the android evolution. She's able to do things that Deckard doesn't expect and play with his emotions. And yeah, she's awesome. Throws his goat off the roof. That was cool and fucked up. And the ending of this, it goes back to that really weird thing that Philip K. Dick does. He loves, like, making you kind of question. I mean, you're questioning reality a lot through this, but at the end, it really starts to get strange. Deckard thinks he's merged with Mercer. He thinks he is Mercer. He finds a toad in the desert, and, like, I don't know. The whole thing just kind of has you questioning, like, what in the hell is happening? Like, is this reality that Deckard's living in real? Like, does he... I don't know. I don't even know what I think. I think that there's enough to point to it that he himself is an android and doesn't know it, but also maybe not. I have no clue. I really did just, I think that the whole story itself is just really cool, and it's fun to just kind of think about, all the things that are being thrown at you. So getting into what did I not like? Just one thing, and it's really such a minor gripe. I thought that, like, the action scenes and big moments, him retiring androids or anything like that, they don't really have a whole lot of build up or punch to them. They just kind of happen, which you could argue is pretty realistic. And And I think it also plays more into the idea of Deckard actually being an android, because he doesn't seem to really think too much about what he's doing. He just does it because he has something else on his. I want to get a goat, so I just need to retire these things. And he doesn't really feel anything towards them. He starts to, and starts questioning himself and what he's doing towards like the middle and the end. But even then, it's like I'm not sure that he's thinking about it all that much. It doesn't really affect how I feel about the book. I think that it almost kind of plays into it. But it did, like, things would happen, like very big things would happen in this very quickly. And the book just moves forward after that without any dwelling on it or really building it up in the first place. So it is a little jarring, but I still think that this book is fantastic. Overall, loved it. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. This is one of the best science fiction books I've ever read. I loved it. And I love Philip K. Dick. I love Dick. What can I say? I'm a big Dick fan. Big old Dick fan. But what do you think? Have you read this classic novel, this classic science fiction story? Sound off in the comments below. Do you love it? Do you not like it? And why? Sound off in the comments below. Be sure to like the video. Subscribe, of course. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye.